that have the right range. But as people get over 300 miles of range and the vehicle meets their performance, it's the segment they want, they think the car is beautiful, they then, though, want to know that there's a robust charging infrastructure.
As a result of the prolonged UAW strike, General Motors, GM, is losing an estimated $200 million in weekly profits and has been forced to abandon its 2023 financial projections. The American car industry is discussed, along with the effects of labor disputes on corporation earnings. Stay until the conclusion because we want you to participate in the discussion by answering a question: GM's losses and UAW strike costs. The prolonged strike coordinated by the United Auto Workers is the primary cause of the significant financial setback that automotive industry major General Motors is presently coping with. The ongoing strike is costing General Motors an astounding $200 million each week. General Motors has been forced to make difficult choices due to the labor dispute's severe financial consequences. One such choice was to no longer provide financial projections for the year 2023. This unexpected shift in fortunes demonstrates how much even the most robust businesses may be affected by external events. General Motors' net income for the third quarter dropped 7.3% year-over-year, totaling $3.06 billion. The sharp decline in profits acted as a wake-up call, prompting management to readjust their expectations for future gains. Due to the continuing financial hemorrhaging, GM was forced to revise its original profit forecast from $12 billion to $14 billion for the year. Investor trust in GM has been affected, and this event has shown how vulnerable even the most established market companies may be to unexpected obstacles. General Motors is a pillar of the automotive industry, but the prolonged UAW strike has highlighted the precarious balance it must maintain between labor relations, financial stability, and market predictions. Impact on GM's production goals. To try to keep costs from going up too much because of the UAW strike, General Motors recently decided not to meet its lofty goal of making 400,000 EVs between 2022 and mid-2024. This was a very important move that showed how flexible the company was in tough situations and how determined they were to end the labor dispute. The seriousness of the situation was stressed by GM CEO Mary Barra, who has been leading the company through this rough patch. She said that they made their choice because they knew that by the end of the agreement's time, most of their employees would be making around $84,000 a year. This acknowledgement shows that the company is committed to fair pay for its workers while also handling the rising costs of the strike. The UAW strike, which started in September and is still going on, has already had huge effects on the wider car business. As of October 19th, it was believed to have cost around $9.3 billion, making a permanent mark on the world of finance. Strikes have spread through the supply chain, messing up production plans and hurting a huge number of workers, as well as the whole car environment. This huge cost in money shows how worker relations, economic security, and business strategy are all connected in a complex way. Basically, it's a stark reminder of how outside factors can mess up even the best-laid plans of a big company like General Motors, which was getting ready to make a lot of electric cars before the strike's financial effects became clear. GM's move to change its EV production goals may be bad news for their efforts to go electric, but it also shows that they are committed to reaching a fair deal with the UAW and keeping the company's finances in good shape. While the strike goes on, it's still unclear how the talks will progress and what other changes GM might make to accommodate the changing circumstances. Still, the present chaos shows how difficult it is for companies to find the right mix between innovation, market growth, and worker peace. It also shows how this affects the car industry as a whole and its future. The end of strikes and UAW's deals. It's good news that the United Auto Workers, UAW union, was able to reach a draft agreement with General Motors after weeks of tense talks. A lot of bad things had happened during this time, but now things are looking up. Similar deals had been made with Ford and Stellantis, two other big cars. After 6 weeks of focused strikes that slowed down the car industry, these deals were the end result. Some of the good things about the new deals for UAW members are that they promise better pay and take back some of the cuts that the union made in the past. A lot of different things could happen because of these deals. They could change the way workers are treated in the car business. Members of the UAW can look forward to a big 11% raise in pay right away if these deals are finally passed. Not only does this pay increase show how strong and determined the UAW is, but it also shows how the industry is changing. The fact that gains made in the past are being taken back shows how strong unions like the UAW are in negotiations, and how much value auto workers bring to the business. These deals could be used as a model for future labor talks, which could lead to better pay and working conditions for workers not just at General Motors, but also in the car industry as a whole. As soon as the deals are ratified, they will have a huge effect on the jobs of thousands of auto workers and on the way workers relate to each other in the car industry as a whole. Challenges and implications. The UAW and auto workers have won a major win with these accords, but the manufacturers face new obstacles. Experts in the automotive sector and financial markets are keeping a close eye on these agreements because of the possible impact on car prices. While salary increases are welcome news for workers, they do have an effect on the industry's bottom line. Given the global nature of the car business and the prevalence of non-union competitors, this might make it harder for American manufacturers to compete. Keeping costs low is crucial as the sector faces a tectonic change toward electric cars and sustainable mobility. The possibility for price increases might be a significant barrier to this transformation, particularly as American automakers compete to become market leaders in the EV sector. The accords also come at a critical time as the whole car industry makes the difficult shift away from internal combustion engines and toward electrification. There will be several obstacles to overcome throughout this transformation, including new technologies, improved infrastructure, and changing customer tastes. The situation is made more complicated by rising labor expenses. However, for manufacturers who are trying to adapt to a rapidly evolving market and meet the rising worldwide focus on sustainability and electric mobility, the accords constitute a delicate balancing act. The future of American automakers hinges on their ability to strike a compromise between labor rights, cost management, and industry development. The path forward and its consequences. These labor agreements have far-reaching consequences, threatening the long-term viability of the American car industry. The industry is worried that higher labor expenses are a direct effect of these agreements. The rising cost of labor complicates an already difficult situation, one in which businesses are trying to spend extensively in developing electric cars, EVs, developing new car models, expanding charging infrastructure, and retooling production facilities all demand significant financial expenditures as we make the switch to electric vehicles. Automakers' ability to pay for the escalating cost of labor required by the agreements may be tested, but their dedication to the EV transition must be prioritized. The agreements may also affect the level of competition among U.S. carmakers. The price hikes linked with rising labor expenses may put American automakers at a disadvantage compared to non-union competitors and overseas rivals in an industry already distinguished by severe rivalry. Keeping prices low is critical to preserving market share, customer demand, and overall profitability in the face of these threats. To succeed in this volatile market, automakers will need to devise strategic answers that enable them to keep their promises to employees, even as they stay competitive in the ever-changing field of electric cars. The role of UAW President Shawn Fain. The importance of UAW President Shawn Fain in these contract talks cannot be emphasized. Without a doubt, he achieved significant gains in terms of wage and cost of living hikes, thanks to his aggressive stance with the automakers, in which he advocated for the interests of the workers. For UAW members, the prospect of rises of up to 30% by 2028 is a major win. The union's approach shifted drastically once Fain was elected president. His tenure as leader has been marked by a marked turn away from the collegiality that had previously characterized discussions with the manufacturers. Whether Fain's strategy will serve as a model for future labor talks within the sector is a key issue in the aftermath of these accords. Will other unions follow suit and become more belligerent against businesses? There is still a lot of curiosity about how this change in labor relations will affect the overall structure and functioning of the car industry. What effect may it have on the competitive environment and the financial health of automakers if unions become more proactive in pursuing concessions for their members as a result? The future of labor relations and industrial dynamics in the American automotive sector will likely be shaped by the responses to these concerns during the next several years. The impact on the auto industry and labor relations companies may be forced to raise prices or make other difficult choices in order to cover the higher labor expenses. This choice has the potential to significantly affect American automakers' ability to compete in a global market because non-union firms generally offer cheaper labor rates. These agreements illustrate the difficulty car companies confront in striking a balance between satisfying customers and satisfying employees. The growing move towards electric automobiles is an additional obstacle. The transition to electric cars is a costly and technologically challenging enterprise that calls for significant investments in R&D as well as new infrastructure. The difficulties automakers already have in affording the switch to electric mobility are exacerbated by these labor agreements, which have the potential to raise expenses. These accords are likely to have far-reaching effects as the sector adapts to these changes. They'll have a major effect on the industry as a whole as the United States tries to stay competitive in the rapidly developing electric vehicle market, as well as on manufacturers' bottom lines. Do you think the benefits for workers outweigh the potential challenges for the automakers and the industry's transition to electric vehicles?